year is 2040, 75 years of independence. What does Singapore look like?
In the last 56 years, Singapore has undergone incredible changes. It is tough envisioning Singapore in 20 years, but this is what lies at the heart of public policy making in Singapore: foresight.
This year, the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy Executive Education Singapore Futures put together a group of 50 students and challenged them to create their vision for SG75. We strongly believe that youths have an integral part to play in shaping Singapore's future, and in the spirit of that, we launched the inaugural Singapore Futures Youth Competition 2021. Amidst the pandemic, we have learned to be adaptable and resilient. We proceeded to host this inaugural event even though we could not do it physically, and we were committed to making learning online just as engaging. The Singapore Futures Youth Competition is a 5-day event from 21st to 25th June 2021. It comprised of a Futures Thinking workshop, 2 judging rounds, and a dialogue session. With a shared vision to increase youth engagement and make learning futures thinking accessible for all, the Executive Education Singapore Futures team launched this competition. Let's hear it from Cheryl, our Executive Education Singapore Futures Program Director.
The theme of the competition was Reimagining SG75, which challenged participants to imagine what Singapore might look like in the year 2040. We brought together a wonderful group of 48 young people from a range of Singapore education institutions for a 3-day Futures Thinking workshop. We wanted to introduce futures tools and frameworks to explore emerging trends and articulate a future vision for SG75, and ask the question, how did we get there? Our participants presented to a panel of futures practitioners from the public, private, and people sectors and engaged in dialogue with senior policymakers. We hope that our inaugural Futures Youth Competition was an opportunity for our participants to meet new friends, learn new tools, and reflect on Singapore's future with curiosity and creativity.
When the students started really to understand the frameworks for themselves and then starting to joke about it and figure out how to use them for their own lives. So I think that has been a really powerful moment, and it really showed me that they've really understood it and are trying to apply them outside this competition.
Stay curious, never be afraid to ask questions. The wonderful thing about futures thinking is there's never ever a wrong question or a silly question. And I would say just keep asking questions and have the curiosity to want to learn more about different perspectives. That will really help broaden your horizon to give you a perspective on what the future might be.
I actually feel engaging anyone in the futures thinking process is really important. And we have actually given the opportunities for youths to be involved in this space. Everybody can be part of this futures thinking process, mainly because everybody has a stake in the future.
The Singapore Futures Youth Competition was designed to make futures learning fun and engaging. Futures is an integral part of policymaking, which is about people and the stakeholders. Through interesting and interactive activities, we bridged the distance online and ensured our students enjoyed the learning process. Throughout the course of this competition, students are working hard to bring their vision of Singapore 2040 to life. Let's hear about their experiences.
I think the presentation segment really stuck with me. It was stressful for my group and me, but seeing our team work together during the Q&A and making it through some of the judges' tough questions, it gave me a lot of insights, and ultimately, I'm glad that our efforts paid off.
I actually joined the competition in order to broaden my horizons and explore the world of futures thinking. It's definitely met my expectations of equipping us with the skills needed to navigate the future in a macro perspective.
My main takeaway was the idea of projecting into the future, being aware of our inherent biases and getting rid of them, in order to brainstorm and envision the kind of Singapore that we want to live in 2040.
On the final day of the Singapore Futures Youth Competition, 4 teams moved on to the final round and presented their 2040 visions of Singapore to a distinguished panel of judges. This was followed by a dialogue session with Minister of State, Mr. Alvin Tan. Our students had the opportunity to engage in an exciting dialogue and gained valuable insights about the future of Singapore.
I think it's important to just step up when you are ready, to just lead us towards SG75. If there's one thing that you take away, it's just long-term. And Singapore has always been long-term. We only have one country, so it's really in your hands. To use the cliche, it's really in your hands.
In these extraordinary times, extraordinary people will rise to the occasion. We believe that the future is bright, with our talented youths committed to shaping the future of Singapore.
As we close this chapter, we hope that this is only chapter 1 of a long journey futuring with our youths.